Hey everybody, it's Kevin McCarthy. I don't normally do introduction videos prior to the interview you're about to watch, but Zack Snyder has meant so much to me over the years in all of his films, from Dawn of the Dead to Watchmen, obviously Man of Steel, BvS. He's one of the greatest filmmakers and greatest storytellers of our time because he's technically and emotionally brilliant as a storyteller. Everything he does technically services the emotion of his stories. So you're going to see my interview with Zack Snyder for Zack Snyder's Justice League, the brand new interview we did for that film. And then after that, I brought back some of my older interviews I did with Zack Snyder, specifically in the DCEU. So you're going to see BvS, which is the press tour he did for BvS before that film came out theatrically, and then also Man of Steel. And it's just interesting to me to go back because as I went back to prepare for this new interview, I was watching the older interviews I did with him just to see kind of where he was creatively and technically at the time. And you look at the technical aspects of what he did in Man of Steel with Amir, the cinematographer, and trying to capture Superman and almost in that documentary-like style. And then BvS, the technical choices, the soundtrack choices. But in the BvS interview specifically, he actually says he's storyboarding Justice League at the moment, and he's about to go shoot it. So I thought it would give a really interesting timeline to see where he was. The new film is a masterpiece. If you are a fan of Man of Steel and BvS Ultimate Edition, you are in for a massive surprise. It's everything you want and more. It is truly a 4-hour masterpiece from a technical standpoint to an emotional standpoint. Zack Snyder has delivered, and I can't wait for everyone to see it, especially the fans. So here's the interview for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then following, you'll see BvS and Man of Steel. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy the movie. I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Hey, Zach, this is an absolute honor to talk to you. I've seen the film 3 times already. It is brilliant. I wrote 10 questions for you. I'm going to try to get through as much as I can. But I think the aspect ratio choice you made was brilliant. It really gave it a tall, epic, yet very intimate feel. You could really honed in on the center of the screen. It was a very immersive experience. And you go back to Man of Steel with you and Amir, you did the 2-3-5 there, and then the BvS with Larry Fong, you're doing the 1-4-3 and the 2-3-9, and here you do the 1-3-3. And I wanted to ask you what that gave to you as a storyteller, what that did for you as a storyteller, because I can't wait to see it in the 1-4-3 IMAX. But what did it do for you as a storyteller?
Well, I mean, I think as, and not to be, metaphorically, we were like completely sort of horizontal, and then we were horizontal and slightly vertical, and here we're like more vertical. And I think it's all about, and the story is, it's not a secret, or it's pretty obvious that the story is all about sort of rising up and sort of finding yourself and becoming complete. And I think that's kind of what the aspect ratio is trying to do as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. One of the things I love in the trailer, this line's in the trailer as well, not us united, concept of, and that line has a very big dual meaning. Obviously, it means something within the story itself, the not us united line, but it also means something very important to the movement and what ignited the release of this film. What does that line mean to you just personally? And do you remember filming that line and obviously the meaning it's taken on now with the release?
I remember filming the line very well. And I think that, we all knew it was kind of the line, when we shot it. And so it was fun to see that it actually got a different meaning in the fan community, and sort of frankly, in the struggle to get the film released for the fans. Us United really meant something more, and it was that fan community and their amazing work, not only getting the movie made, but as fundraising and creating awareness for suicide prevention. Just incredible community that's sprung out of this movement.
Now, I absolutely love the R rating. I think one of the beauties of the R rating is it gives a reality to the sense of what the violence that could happen if superheroes and villains were doing this to people. You see a character go against a rock, you see the blood splatter behind him. And I remember specifically talking to you at BvS about the R-rated warehouse scene you were going to be showing us in the ultimate cut additionally of Batman vs. Superman. For you as a storyteller, that R rating is a very important tool. It adds a very unique realism and grounded nature to your film. What do you feel the R rating adds for your storytelling?
I just think that, famously, I've always said that, like, we just take these characters really seriously. And I love this sort of mythological, sort of Lord of the Rings, style, scale. And I just think that, because, look, do we consciously go like, this shot's R-rated, that shot's PG-13? No, we're just making the shots. I'm saying like, oh, we should do this, or this should feel like that, and this guy, Steppenwolf should cut that guy in half. It just seems natural to the moment. And so without any kind of, thinking about, whether there's a ratings issue or whatever, it's just kind of, this is the right for the story. And frankly, that's the biggest tool, is that it allows us to sort of not second guess ourselves and just kind of make the shots as we think is necessary.
On my multiple viewings of this film, I love the opening credits so much. And I've always loved your opening credits. I've been a fan of your movies since Dawn of the Dead. I thought Watchmen was a masterpiece. The Bob Dylan track over the credits was is just genius. In this particular instance, your credits run almost 9 minutes in the beginning of the film. And I noticed that both your name and your wife's name end up on the back of Ben Affleck in the credits as we watch the film. And I wanted to ask about your choice to let the credits roll as long as they do, what that signifies for you as a storyteller. And was it a coincidence that both you and Deborah had your name on Affleck's back in 2 different shots?
It is not a coincidence about where our name placements are, but it is also a thing that you through design, there's a lot of time, different manipulations, but when you get into the moment, we're very direct about where things go. But as far as the length of the title sequence goes, I looked at this movie. I mean, not to be too, it's like it's like an opera, or it's like a space opera, we always say. But so I really wanted a really beautiful and long, sort of opening. It needed that, and I think that to get you in the right headspace, it really needed to it warms up. It doesn't. It has an overture, if you will. And that's how I sort of designed that opening.
Well, let me tell you this, and to wrap me up, as a fan of your work, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Ultimate Edition, and now I just want to say thank you for this film. It meant so much to me as a fan of your work. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant masterpiece, and I think that you've done such incredible work. Every character in this film has an emotional grounding. I felt for every single person and the journey they were going on with their parents and everything that was happening. So I want to say congratulations to you, and thank you so much for everything you've done for cinema.
Too kind. Thank you, brother.
I'm looking at Watchmen. Watchmen's a very soundtrack-driven film. Mm-hmm. Man of Steel and this film are very score-driven films. Yeah. And you obviously have Junkie XL and Zimmer here, which are amazing. Can you talk about the difference in working in soundtrack versus score and how that changes as a director?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, for me, working with soundtracks, you get to pre-visualize the movie in a more sort of complete way. Because you have that, like when you're when I draw the storyboards myself, and so when I'm drawing, I have like my, I have my mix, my drawing mix. Like on Watchmen, it was basically all the songs that are in the movie. So I just listen to them over and over and draw and listen, and so you really get a sense. Times they are changing. You're like, listen, while I'm drawing the title sequence, I'm just listening to it. With this, I tended to, now my drawing mix, like for drawing Justice League. Drawing Justice League right now because we're getting ready to shoot. So while I'm drawing it, I'm like, I have a couple tracks from Man of Steel. I have a couple stolen tracks from this movie, just on that I've taken from Hans, And so I have, created a sort of a weird soundtrack in a fake soundtrack for Justice League. And that's kind of the same process I did for this. But it's different because you don't have that kind of, I tend to put songs on anyway that kind of get me in the mood.
I read you shot 16, 35, 65 millimeter film, but also Alexa and GoPro.
And IMAX.
That's amazing. So talk about the different formats, why you chose those different formats, for what scenes did you choose them for?
The basic format of the entire movie was just anamorphic 35 millimeter. That was like 99% of the movie. Not even 99, less now because of so much. And then the next biggest format was IMAX. And then what we did was we were going to shoot, we shot 2 of the dialogue sequences in normal 65 mil, like 70 mil with 70 mil sound cameras, because IMAX cameras are so noisy. I didn't want to shoot, because I knew I was going to blow them up to IMAX, but I was like, I don't want to loop both these scenes, so let's just shoot with a 65 millimeter camera. But on the one day that it was so cold, the IMAX camera went down, so then we had to the 70 millimeter camera went down, sorry, so we had to shoot it with the IMAX camera anyway. So it was stuff like that. And then I think we stuck a GoPro on the Batmobile and then ended up using the shot. It was like there's one GoPro shot in the movie.
That's amazing. My favorite moments in the movie are when it actually jumps to the IMAX. Now, I'm a big fan of, because Nolan did that on Dark Knight and Dark Knight. It's amazing to see that. Can you talk about the choice, why those scenes? Like, obviously the main fight you want in full IMAX. So
I mean, I feel like, the opening of the movie is all IMAX, the title sequence, and I did that because I wanted to like just, I'm a fan of like and into the beginnings of the openings of movies being really particular, because I think the hook is important to get to get you all in. Like by the end of the title sequence, you should be going like, okay, whatever, like just let's do this thing. Yeah. And so that was why of that. Then there's the dream sequence,
which is all one fight, one shot fight.
Yeah.
I literally had nerd tears streaming down my face. It was like one shot. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. So that was all IMAX too, which makes it even harder. Because the cameras, we had all the sets had to like blow apart, and like because like the camera starts inside the back of that truck, so the camera's on a crane inside the truck. It actually turns like this, if you notice, and then this side of the truck, as the crane goes, kind of, you can't see it off camera. It's kind of peeling back as it's built to like come apart, so the whole truck comes apart, and then like as we go around, you have to restore the truck, and anyway, then there's one stitch about right there that we had to, because we could reset, and shakes the camera like this. Okay, not glamorous, but
they really shake the camera. That's interesting.
They literally shake the Well, that was the thing. Like we really wanted to. I know this sounds crazy, but you could do all that in post, right? You could shake the camera. But I said, no, let's shake it for real. Just vibrate the camera for real, because one of the things I said with the visual effects shots, I was like, look, these shots should be hard to get, right? When Superman's flying, those are hard shots. They should feel like they were hard to film.
Right.
And I really wanted at all times, whenever like you're shooting, flying and stuff, like, this is really hard to shoot. Oh my gosh, we're going so fast. So like that comes from, this crazy vibrations. And so I'd be like shaking the mag and, helping John shake the camera.
So incredible.
And John's really good at it.
I think you've perfectly blended Zimmer's score with action like I've never seen before. It was just unbelievable what you were able to do with this movie. I want to ask you, as a director, you make your score a leading character in your film. He is a leading character with all the other characters going on in the film. So I want to ask you, do you direct a score as if you would direct an actor?
Well, the conversations I have with Hans are very much like the conversations I have with the actors. Like it's absolutely. I mean, Hans and I, we spend weeks talking before he even, put down a single note, I'm sure. And by the way, by the time he did, I was like, Hans, where's the score? And he was like, I'm sure he's procrastinating, but no, he really crushed it in an amazing way. I couldn't have been happier with it. It was awesome.
I know you shot 35 anamorphic, right? Mm-hmm. Now the lens flares, I'm a huge fan of those. I think they really add to like the film. I just think they look absolutely gorgeous. Are those all done naturally? Is that done with do you digitally put some of those in?
Outside the visual effects shots, they're all natural. They're just exactly what the glass does when light shines in it. It's not. Just is what it is. It's no, and of course what we did is, for the visual effects, we would shoot, we would take our lenses and we would shoot them over black and shine lights in to get lens flares, and then use those lens flares in the visual effects shots. So they were all organic, like lens flares, and not like out of like a, stock bank of lens flares. Yeah.
Now, when you cast younger actors to obviously be the younger Superman, younger Clark Kent, does Henry ever get to go in there and say, that guy kind of looks like me? Would he have any approval?
No, but we got pictures of Henry when he was little.
Oh.
And we'd be like, that one's not too bad.
That's
cool. By the way, they really.
They look just like him.
Kids do look a lot like him.
It's incredible. Yeah, but when a character, I'm kind of a geek about movies. Sorry.
No, it's awesome.
When a character is in a visual effects shot, and they let's say they're on a ship and they come in and they land, and then they end up walking out of that shot.
Yeah.
How do they become? How do you transition from the digital to the real?
Like in a lot of those cases, say for instance Zod landing at the Kent farm.
Yeah.
Those shots were done. We had a big green staircase.
Right.
Made of plywood. The cheapest thing you could think of. And then we put a big platform at the top so the cast could all stand up there so they could fit. So they would come down the stairs. So basically we would the doors would open, the CG doors will open, and then they come down. And of course that's all CG armor and everything on Michael.
Is it really?
Yeah, so all that armor CG. So he's in these like pajamas, which he did not like, by the way. He said the first day shooting, because I had said like, oh, you're gonna be the scary General Zod, you're gonna be in this awesome armor, and he was like, oh, cool. And we hadn't shot anything yet. Like we had, so because some of the Krypton stuff is real.
Yeah.
So he got a chance to say like, oh, okay, this is cool, this looks good. But that stuff he hadn't. So I go, you're gonna look awesome. You're just gonna be, and so he comes out in his little like pajamas, and he's like, "This is how am I supposed to be scary in this?"
You should have pulled a Fincher and put a frame of him just in his pajamas somewhere in the movie.
Oh yeah,
like a really quick one frame.
It was. By the way, I felt bad. I felt bad because he really was not upset, but he was like, "Wow, I really got it." And I go, "Look, help me make it awesome."